I bet you have never dropped your phone in a toilet that looks like this before. Could you imagine trying to get it back? Would you even want to? Maybe when you see my van, you think, that guy is prepared for anything. Well, let me tell you about a time when anything was more unusual than I had anticipated. I arrived at a trailhead in Sedona, Arizona, ready to go on a hike. I had just filled my Camelback, packed away a small snack, and applied some sunscreen. However, the last item on my checklist was to use the bathroom, which I'd hoped would be the least eventful part of my day. But I was wrong. As I approached the vaulted toilet, 4 women had just finished their hike, forming a small line. After a few moments, a woman emerged from the bathroom with a shocked expression on her face, and through cupped hands over her mouth, she said, "I dropped my phone in the toilet." The group began searching for assistance, probably wondering if they should call a forest ranger or a priest. I overheard one of them say, "I bet that guy over there would have something that could help us." She pointed to my van, the best option out of 30 standard cars in the parking lot. As she described what happened, I was thinking, this could be 10 feet down, in a mixture of 1s and 2s. What could I possibly use to help? To assess the situation, 3 of us ventured into the small room normally made for 1. The circumstances were worse than I had imagined. It was a gelatinous concoction that could probably make a skunk gag. Working together, we first attempted to retrieve the phone using trekking poles as makeshift chopsticks. We tried this several times. However, the phone kept slipping through our grasp like a loose noodle. At this point, the phone's alarm had started going off. She remembered that she had set it to check in for her Southwest flight. We all joked that she probably was not going to get a good seat now. Desperation had set in, and the woman suggested that we hold her ankles and lower her down into the toilet. I refused to do that, even if it meant it would have made this story a little bit better. I returned to my van to brainstorm other options. Suddenly, it occurred to me that my recovery boards might be long enough to reach down into the toilet. So I resorted to using 1 recovery board and 1 trekking pole. I turned the board upside down and carefully flipped the phone into the open cavity. Slowly, I raised the board to the bottom edge of the toilet. One of the women reached in and carefully grabbed the phone in a plastic bag, like picking up after a dog. I didn't think the first time I would use my recovery boards would be for this kind of recovery. But after a 20-minute effort, we successfully retrieved the phone. The woman was overjoyed and was able to check in for her flight. They asked me why I had taken so much time to assist them. I simply replied, like you all, I figured I did have something that could help. They felt guilty, thinking they had taken me away from my hike. But after checking my pockets twice and finally being able to relieve myself, I still went on the hike. Since the incident, we have become friends on Instagram, and I'm glad I could be the prepared guy in the situation.